Hey guys, it's Leo Gabriel, your favorite personal trainer. Today we're going to discuss 4 things that you do on a daily basis that can affect your posture, build muscle imbalances, and cause orthopedic issues down the road. Starting with what I'm doing now, just sitting. Simply sitting, we're tightening our hip flexors, stretching our glutes, doing the exact opposite of what we want to be doing. In order to prevent back problems, in order to prevent postural imbalances down the road, we want to make sure we have strong glutes and a strong core, a strong foundation to build off of. However, when you're sitting all day, you're doing the exact opposite. You're stretching your glutes, not strengthening them. You're keeping these tight hip flexors, leading to stiff posture and overall poor muscle imbalances, most likely leading to quad dominance rather than glute dominance. And that's going to lead to back problems and postural problems down the road. But you might be thinking, oh Leo, it's okay, I'll be fine. Yeah, I sit all day, but I got me one of those standing desks. Well, you're on the right track, but you're not quite on the right train. Because here's the issue with that. You're going from one stiff position to just 2 stiff positions. Yeah, we're stretching the hip flexors. Yeah, we're strengthening our glutes, but we're still creating stiffness. What we really should be doing is moving around, taking the stairs, perhaps doing some squats, doing some lunges, really utilizing more range of motion in our lower body, as well as engaging our core, doing some core work as well. But I can understand doing that at school or in the office might not always be the most practical option. Next thing we want to talk about is sleep position. Sleep position substantially affects your orthopedic health, it substantially affects your posture, and how you perform in the gym. Simply take a stomach sleeper. A lot of people will swear that that's the most comfortable position. And yeah, it's a great position when it comes to breathing. However, it does lead to orthopedic injuries down the road. First of all, you got a hyperextended back. If you wake up with lower back pain because of sleeping on your stomach, that's why, because we're hyperextending our back, we're stretching our abs. When in reality, we want our abs and our back to be in a neutral position. We want to be strengthening our abs, not stretching them. Also, if you're sleeping on your stomach, you're probably also hunching over the pillow, creating that infamous upper crust hump syndrome. When you're leaning over the pillow, you're rounding your shoulders, that often creates that hump that we know of, that creates that muscle imbalance, something we want to avoid. And if we do stomach sleep, we want to do some stretches and some other exercises to undo some of the damage we do from a nighttime of sleeping on our stomach. Now let's transition to our side. Side sleepers also have issues, most often when they're sleeping in the fetal position. If you're sleeping in the fetal position, you're basically doing what you're doing all day sitting. You're bending your knees, tightening your hip flexors, stretching your glutes, creating those muscle imbalances. We want to be strengthening our glutes, not weakening them. We want to make sure our back is in a flat, neutral position, not rounded, not in a fetal position. A simple correction to the fetal position would be to put a pillow between your legs and sleep with your legs straight. That'll keep your spine aligned, it'll keep your legs aligned, keep that lower back from twisting, and result in a whole lot less pain the next day. Another issue we commonly see with side sleeping, another thing that might cause orthopedic imbalances and pain down the road, is the fact that we're sleeping on one shoulder versus the other. No matter how you orient it, whether you put the shoulder above the pillow or under the pillow, you're still putting more pressure on one shoulder versus the other. So that's going to lead to muscle imbalances between the left and the right side, which is why you often might wake up feeling a little bit of tightness in the trapezius, a little bit of tightness in one part of the shoulder. If you sleep, especially for a long time in an awkward position, it can cause a lot of shoulder stiffness and a lot of shoulder pain. So keep that in mind when you are a side sleeper. Make sure you do workouts to correct that as well. So with that all said, your best position when it comes to good posture would probably be sleeping on your back. And here's why. You don't have any of the issues with the hip flexors being tight. You don't have any of the issues with putting pressure on one shoulder versus the other shoulder. All that's taken away when you're a back sleeper. The one issue you might have with back sleeping is some people say it's harder to pass air, which is why they say if someone's snoring, turn them over. However, if breathing is not something that you find difficult, if you're able to sleep on your back, I highly, highly recommend you do, because it's going to keep you more rested, it's going to keep you feeling best in the morning and not have any of those hyperextended, twisted backs, hyperextended, twisted shoulders. All those issues that come from stomach sleeping and side sleeping aren't going to be there if we sleep on our back. But to simplify it, we want a flat, neutral spine and make sure that we're not twisting one direction or the other or hyperextending our back. That's going to give us the best sleeping position for a good night's rest and fewer problems when we wake up and overall down the road. Another common thing that could cause muscle imbalances is simply going for a walk around the block or a jog around the block. You might think, well, how? I use both legs. Well, my answer to you is look at any track. If you notice, the inside part of the track is ever so slightly shorter than the outside part of the track. And if you're jogging on a road, chances are the road is going to be banked. It's not going to be 100% flat the whole way around. And you might think, okay, that's no big deal. And for a few steps, it isn't a big deal. But over time, one foot, if you're going in the same direction, is going to be making a slightly different stride than the other. And that's actually going to create muscle imbalances. When you're taking thousands and thousands and thousands of steps and jogging every morning, every day, even once a week, those muscle imbalances will add up over time, and they will show in your posture, they will show in your spinal alignment, all that's going to show up. So if you are someone who likes to jog, go for a run. Change your route up. If you do want to go around the block, change directions around the block. Make sure that you're keeping your body guessing and not going in the same motion. Otherwise, your body's going to adapt to that motion, and it's going to adapt with compensations that we rather would not have with our posture. And the final thing we'll touch base on, this might be the biggest one, is the imbalance between the left and the right side. Utilizing just one side of your body versus the other for all of our day-to-day activities. That's the most common cause of muscle imbalances. There's probably no more common muscle imbalance than the imbalance between the left and the right side. Whether that be with your arms. No, I'm not just talking about writing. I'm talking about lifting a bag, lifting a grocery bag, driving, picking things up. If we're always doing that with one side or the other, it's going to create muscle imbalances. Even with our lower body. A lot of times you'll see people when they stand, they'll prefer to lean on one leg versus the other. And that's also going to cause muscle imbalances. That's going to cause more stiffness and more preference in one leg, which over time is going to lead to our hips and our back being misaligned. So how do we correct that? The number one correction is train. Include exercises that work one arm or one leg or one shoulder or the other shoulder. Making sure we balance up the left and the right side is crucial to fighting the most common muscle imbalances. So, to recap, 4 things that you do on a daily basis that are causing you muscle imbalances, that are causing you problems with your posture, that are causing you problems with your form at the gym. Number 1, excessive sitting. To correct that, move around more. Don't just simply stand and sit. Move around, use the full range of motion. Sleeping position. To simplify sleeping position, there are tons of sleeping positions, but to keep it simple, we want to keep our back in a neutral position. We don't want our hip flexors to be tightened in the fetal position or any position like that. And most important of all, we don't want to be twisting or hyperextending either our back or our shoulder. That's going to lead to pain and discomfort down the road. And those discomforts are going to lead to muscle imbalances because we're going to prefer one side over the other. And those muscle imbalances will later turn into injuries. It's a negative cycle. We want to make sure we fight the muscle imbalances before they turn into injuries. Number 3, jogging or walking around the block. If you are someone who likes to jog or walk around the block, change your route, or at very least change directions around the block so you're not building a different stride between one leg versus the other. And finally, most important of all, use both sides of your body. Whether you're carrying grocery bags, a suitcase, whether you're opening something, whatever you're using, try to utilize both your left and your right hand. If you are someone who stands on one leg versus the other, make sure you're balancing it out. And most important of all, do isometric training. Train each arm, train each leg. Not every movement has to be a compound movement. That is where isometric training is so important, because if we develop muscle imbalances between the left and right side, it's going to make everything we do more difficult. It's going to minimize our gains, maximize our risk of injury, and overall create postural imbalances and weakness down the road. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.